Hello everyone, thank you for tuning into Vidiot Entertainment Studios for this episode of Vidiot Movie Reviews. I'm the nerd Lust Daddy, and today we continue our series reviewing every North American live-action video game film adaptation theatrical release. This week's episode brings us something fresh as we disembark from the Uwe Boll train and review 2008's Max Payne starring Mark Wahlberg and Mila Kunis.
Tease, this could be good.
Ciao Pidds, let's get into it and find out. Now, Max Payne was released in North American theaters on October 17, 2008. At that time, two games had been released in the series, Max Payne and Max Payne 2: The Fall of Max Payne. After watching the film and researching the games, we're going to use the first game for comparison, as the film draws directly from its plot. Now, the plot of the game follows Max Payne, a former NYPD officer turned DEA agent who has a tortured past. 3 years ago, his wife Michelle and their newborn daughter Rose were murdered by drug addicts. Now in 2001, he's working undercover with the Punchinello crime family that controls the trafficking of the drug known as Valkyr that the men who murdered his wife and daughter were under the influence of. A colleague of his in the DEA, BB, sets up a meeting between Max and his former partner in the NYPD, Alex Balder. When Alex arrives, he's murdered by an unseen assassin that frames Max for the murder. While on the run from the police and his former mob associates that now know he's a cop, he searches for Jack Lupino, a Punchinello crime boss, to get answers about who killed Alex. He tracks Lupino down at his nightclub, the Ragnarok, and kills him during an altercation. Soon after, he runs into Mona Sachs, a contract assassin and sister-in-law to Don Punchinello, who's seeking revenge against him for abusing her sister. Knowing that Punchinello is involved with the trafficking of the drug Valkyr, and that Mona is after him as well, Max races against time to locate Punchinello before her and unravel the mystery of the drug Valkyr and the deaths of his wife and daughter. The film plot also follows the character Max Payne, who works for the NYPD in the Cold Case Unit. His wife Michelle and their child were murdered, and since then he's been obsessed with finding their killer. During one of his visits to an old informant, he meets a woman named Natasha that later is found murdered and in possession of Max's wallet that she had stolen from him. Furthermore, Max finds his old partner, Alex Balder, slain in Max's home, where they had planned on meeting so that Alex could inform Max of some new information he had discovered regarding the deaths of Max's wife and child. Max is then attacked from behind and knocked unconscious. Awakening in the ER, Max finds his old friend, BB from the NYPD, and now head of security for the pharmaceutical company Aesir that Michelle used to work for, sitting by his bedside. BB urges him to remember anything he can to clear his name, as the NYPD is now looking at him for the murders of Natasha and Alex. Max goes to the police station and searches Alex's office, hoping to find some clue as to what he had uncovered. He discovers a file containing pictures that show one of the men who had killed his wife and child has the same wing tattoo on him that Natasha had. Max eventually meets Mona Sachs, sister to Natasha and freelance assassin, who is seeking Max for the murder of her sister. Max convinces her that he had nothing to do with it and that they should work together to unravel this mystery. He then goes to look at his wife's belongings that had been in storage and discovers the documents she had from Aesir have gone missing. Max then goes to Aesir and interrogates Michelle's former supervisor, Jason Colvin, who reveals information about a project called Valkyr that they'd been working on for the government to make a drug that makes soldiers fearless and have increased stamina. Max also learns of a man named Jack Lupino, who was one of their test subjects, and is now a trafficker of the drug and resides at the nightclub Ragnarok. Max then goes to confront Lupino and unravel the mystery of the connection between Lupino, Aesir, and the murder of his wife and child. Well, it seems pretty obvious here that we have some very strong similarities between the plots. There are a few characters left out from the games. Some of the events that happen are slightly different from the game, and some of the characters' social associations are slightly different from the game. But it can't be missed that the two plots are very much similar. I'd say this is an easy hawoo here. Pidds, what did you think of the plot?
Hawoo!
Alright, so what about our setting and world representation? The cinematography is really good, giving it that slightly dark and washed out style that we see typically from noir films. The look of the characters fits well within the universe, and we get plenty of action sequences with shootouts like in the games. We do also get some of the stereotypical self-narration the noir genre is known for, but in my opinion, it is underused and there should have been more of it. Another area I think the film floundered in was in its use of slow motion to represent the bullet time from the games. It too, in my opinion, is very underused and doesn't really kick in until toward the end of the movie, and even then, not to a moderate or heavy degree. I think they did okay here, but the lack of self-narration, which is a huge part of the noir genre, as well as the very little use of slow motion to represent bullet time, which is a huge part of the game series, hurts the representation overall. At best, I can give this a passing hawoo. Pidds, what did you think?
Hawoo.
Time to get into the characters. As usual, we'll stick with the main characters in common between the game and film, as well as big-name starring actors. Let's start with Lieutenant Jim Bravura, played by Ludacris, the rapper and actor known for his role as Tej Parker in the Fast and Furious franchise. Here he plays the Internal Affairs agent investigating Max on suspicion of being involved in the deaths of Natasha and Alex. This character's original to the film, and I've got to say, it's a throwaway character. It adds nothing to the plot at all, and wouldn't be missed if it was gone. Furthermore, the performance is bad. There is no genuine emotion behind the performance, and it's almost as if Luda is just in the film because he was hot at the time, and all he is doing is showing up on the set to phone it in and pick up a paycheck. Straight chit futter here. Pidds, what did you think of Bravura?
Chit, futter.
Alex Balder, portrayed by Donald Logue, known for his roles on Sons of Anarchy, Grounded for Life, and Law & Order Special Victims Unit. Here he plays the ex-partner and friend to Max, which is an adaptation of the character from the game. The performance here is solid, as you can feel the energy and emotion behind his desire to help Max, while also feeling torn by his duties as an officer. It's a good performance like he usually puts in, so this is a solid hawoo from me. Pidds, what did you think of Alex?
Hawoo.
Jack Lupino. Amaury Nolasco plays the character adaptation in name only from the game. Here, he's the former Marine Corps sergeant that took part in the early tests of Valkyr. I'm torn on this one, as they decided to use the name of the mobster from the game but utterly change the character rather than leave any similarity or just use an entirely different name. The performance is good, as the veteran who's now broken, violent, and psychotic from the effects of Valkyr, so I can't fault any acting here, but I gotta knock it down a bit since the character is nothing like the one in the game. This gets a passing hawoo from me at best. Pidds, your thoughts on Lupino?
Hawoo.
Mona Sachs, played by Mila Kunis of that 70s show Family Guy and Black Swan fame. Here she takes on the role of the assassin turned ally to Max from the game. The role's slightly different here though, as she is looking to get revenge against Max for the suspected murder of her sister, rather than seeking revenge against her sister's husband like in the game. She also never becomes a love interest to Max like in the game. Still, the adaptation here is alright at best, and that's about what you can say for the portrayal as well. The character never really grabs you in any strong way, but nor are you bored by it either. It's just mediocre, so this gets just a passing hawoo from me. Pidds, what did you think of Mona?
Hawoo.
B.B. Hensley. Beau Bridges is known for his roles in Stargate SG-1 and Atlantis, My Name is Earl, and a childhood favorite of mine, The Wizard. Here, he's portraying the character from the game that was a fellow DEA agent with Max, though here, he used to be in the NYPD with Max, then went on to work as head of security for Aesir. There are a lot of similar relations between the game and film characters, as Beau's acting does it justice. You can tell that he and Max have a professional as well as emotional connection, as in the film they also make him a father figure type. I enjoyed the screen time with him and can certainly give him a hawoo. Pidds, what did you think of BB?
Hawoo.
Max Payne, played by Mark Wahlberg, known for his time in the music group Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch, as well as his acting roles in Boogie Nights, The Perfect Storm, and The Departed. Here we see him portray the titular character, Max Payne from the game. Overall, I really enjoyed the performance by Mark Wahlberg. He comes off as the grizzled, embittered, and fearless man on a mission to find the person responsible for the murder of his wife and child at any cost. He brings plenty of emotion and conviction to the role that I enjoyed watching. This one's a hawoo for me. Pidds, what did you think of Max?
Hawoo.
Alright everybody, let's get into our final verdicts on this one. The plot is fairly similar, which I appreciated, with some liberties, but I've got to say, they missed out by not adding a lot more of the self-narration that is typical of the noir genre and found in healthy doses within the game. They also missed out by not giving us a lot more slow motion to represent the bullet time from the games. While overuse may have been a concern that held them back, it's a key part of representing the Max Payne universe, and I do not think adding more of it would have been looked down upon, particularly by fans of the game who watched this film. We've also got a mixed bag with some of the characters here to take into consideration. Let's turn to the Pidds and see what he thinks. Pidds, what did you think of Max Payne?
Hawoo.
I agree, Pidds. This one comes in at just a bit above average. I can give this one a 60s out of 10s. I think they missed big opportunities by not adding in a lot more of the self-narration, as well as more slow-motion gunfights, which caused a missed opportunity to represent the genre with more accuracy, as well as the game. The pacing is also frequently slowed down by Lieutenant Bravura and his scenes. Take him out and put in more self-narration and slow motion, and I think this movie could have hit at least a 7C and maybe even an 8C. As it is, it's a slightly above average action noir light film that I can recommend passing some free time with if you're a fan of the game, as it is fairly similar. Just be aware that it falters a bit in representing the game, and as a fan of noir films, you may want to avoid this one as it does not have that delicious frequent self-narration that is loved within the genre, and thus doesn't have a heavy noir film to it other than what you get from the cinematography. The Pidds and I want to thank you all for once again tuning into Vidiot Entertainment Studios for this episode of Vidiot Movie Reviews. If you enjoyed our video, please be sure to comment, like, subscribe, and share to show your support. And don't forget to also check us out and subscribe on Twitch, as well as follow us on Twitter. Until next time, I'm the Nerd Lust Daddy, as always, reminding you all to not be chit futters to each other. Body autonomy for all, reproductive rights for women, and peace, love, and happiness to all. Take us out, Pidds.
Thank you again for watching. See yous next time.